Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Simply Just C, and in today's video, you all, it has been 1 year since I have introduced organic castor oil into my life. So in this video, I'm just going to do a quick little update on my usage of castor oil now that it has been a whole year of me using it. I'll tell you any changes and things I've noticed. I'm also going to recommend my favorite castor oil that I have used this entire year, as well as I'm going to answer 2 questions that I have seen the most throughout this past year within my castor oil series. So honey, let's get into it. My, how time flies, y'all. So yes, it has been 1 year since I posted my initial video where I told you about my first 30-day experience with castor oil. That video did well beyond what I ever expected it would do. It's at about almost 900,000 views now. And that video allowed me to meet some incredible people in the comments and to interact with some wonderful people. So I am very grateful for that video. But yes, it has been 1 year and I have still been using castor oil since that first initial 30-day video. And yeah, that brings us to today. So before we get into the update, I do want to recommend my favorite castor oil that I have used this entire year, and that is by the Goodbye Company. I love this stuff down. And even if you don't get this one, if you are looking for the benefits that castor oil has, and honey, it has a lot, make sure you get a quality castor oil. So I recommend a castor oil that is organic, hexane free, unrefined, and in a dark amber glass bottle or jar. This is my personal favorite, and like I said, I have used it the entire year. I will have it tagged on the screen and in the pinned comment if you are interested. Throughout this past year, I have used castor oil in a plethora, and honey, I mean a plethora of ways, from applying it to my face to help with little fine lines and wrinkles, to placing it on my eyelash line to thicken them and to lengthen them, to applying it to my eyebrows to help those little sparse areas that I had. Honey, on down to putting it in my belly button at night to help with digestion and bowel regulation. Let's see what else. To using castor oil packs to support my liver. Honey, I have done it all. Even using castor oil as a deodorant. Yes, me and castor oil go hand in hand. I have a whole series on my channel of how I've used castor oil and the benefits I have seen from it. So feel free after this video to check that out if you're interested. And a new way that I have used castor oil that I don't believe I've mentioned in any of my videos is for like toothache pain. I don't know what was going on with my mouth. This was some months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. And the side of my mouth, my tooth area, my gums, it was hurting, and I had like a lump there, I guess an abscess, if you will. And I needed something to help relieve that pain. Because honey, if you've ever had a toothache, you know that pain is a different kind of pain, okay? And I don't like to take medicine. I don't even have medicine in my home. So there was no like pain reliever I could go and grab, but I needed relief. So I took an organic cotton ball. I placed some of my castor oil on there. I let it kind of soak in for about 5 minutes on the cotton ball. Took that cotton ball, placed it inside my mouth, and I left it in my mouth right where it was hurting and bothering me for about maybe 8 to 10 minutes. And y'all, it took away that pain, and the lump went down until I was able to, of course, be seen by my dentist. So castor oil just has a plethora of uses, and I try my best to use it in as many ways as I can. And it truly is a staple in my home. Even moving forward, I will always have castor oil in my home. Throughout this year, I have had a couple changes with my usage of castor oil. So for one, I no longer apply it to my lips. So in my first 30-day initial video, I was applying it to my lips, and I noticed that it was kind of softening up the little lines that we get in our lips. It definitely does that. But after using it and really paying attention to how my lips felt, I noticed that it was kind of like drying out my lips. Like my lips just kind of felt tight and like dry. So I no longer apply it to my lips. I also had some people in my comments stated that as well, like, hey, I tried it on my lips, but for me, honey, you know, it kind of dries them out, and I can agree with that statement. So I no longer apply it to my lips. Another change is using it on my body as a moisturizer. So in that first 30 days, honey, I was just rubbing, okay? Rubbing all over with that oil. But it is thick, and I don't do that every day now. I do that maybe once or twice after showering, maybe once or twice out the week. I will use the castor oil all throughout my body, and that just helps with keeping it nice and soft and helping with like any hyperpigmentation I might have on my skin, any stretch marks. It helps to keep those soft and not as noticeable, but I just don't apply it every day. And when I do apply it as a moisturizer on my body, I like to dilute it with whipped shea butter, and just shea butter, like no other ingredient in there. It's literally just shea butter that's been whipped. I'll take some shea butter and a little bit of my castor oil and rub that together, and that kind of thins it down so that it's easier to apply. Sometimes I even will dilute this with olive oil if I'm using it as an all over moisturizer. So that's another change. I don't use it as much all over my body, just like once or twice a week, just to keep, you know, my skin doing what it needs to do. Let's talk about something that I've noticed with castor oil throughout this year. So I stopped using castor oil on my face for about 2 months. My skin was kind of going through one of its acne flare-ups. I've mentioned multiple times that I do battle with acne, hormonal acne in particular. And honey, it was just going crazy, and I didn't want anything on my skin. So I stopped using castor oil altogether on my skin, on my face, I should say, for about 2 months. And what I noticed during those 2 months is that my eyelashes slowly started to go back to the length they were before and the thickness they were before. My eyebrows, especially this one, because right here is my little area where it's a little sparse, that started to go back to its sparseness, right? I started to notice those things kind of revert to go back to where they were before I had used castor oil. So what I've noticed is basically once you get your initial results, like whatever you're looking for, and I'm talking about like the beauty part when it comes to castor oil. So like diminishing wrinkles, stretch marks, and hyperpigmentation, lengthening your eyebrows, those type of things. Once you get the results you're looking for, you don't have to use it every day after that, but honey, make sure you're still using it, okay? Because if you stop using it, you'll notice things kind of go back to what they were. It's just like when you lose weight. Like let's say you had a goal of losing 30 pounds. Well, once you lose the 30 pounds, it's not over, right? Because you still got to work out. You still got to watch what you put in your mouth. Because if not, you're going to slowly, those pounds will creep back up. So it's the same thing with castor oil. After you get your initial results, you don't have to use it as frequently after that, but still keep it in your routine so you can maintain those results. So I have since gone back to applying it to my face and my eyelashes and my eyebrows, and within a couple weeks, honey, we were back. Somewhere on the screen I'm probably showing that, but yeah, we were back to thicker in my eyebrows, and my eyelashes definitely thickened back up. So I noticed that you definitely need to continue to use castor oil just to kind of keep those changes, those positive changes that you've seen, to keep those going, to maintain. Throughout this past year on my castor oil videos, there has been 2 questions that have been undoubtedly asked the most, okay? And I mean the most. So I'm going to quickly answer those 2 questions, and I always try to answer in the comments, but I can't always get to all of them. So I'm going to answer them very briefly here. Here are my 2 top questions. Question number 1 is, do you dilute it? It's so thick, it's so this, it's so greasy. Do you dilute it? Do you? It depends. That's my answer. It depends. If I'm using it, like I said earlier, as a moisturizer, yes, I'll dilute it with whipped shea butter or olive oil to thin it out, and it helps it to rub on my body better. If I'm using it for pain relief, no, I'm applying that bad boy straight to wherever it ails me, okay? Not diluting it in any way. If I'm trying to work on diminishing the look of my stretch marks, I'm applying that directly, not diluting it with anything. Nothing on my skin, just the castor oil. Let's say I have a pimple on my face, and it's one of those pimples that hurt. Whew, ladies, especially my ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Those ones that are just huge and they hurt. I'm not applying anything on it. I'm straight taking that castor oil and rubbing it on wherever that pimple is to bring myself some relief. So to answer that question, do I dilute it? Yes and no, depending on what I'm using it for. If I'm placing it in my belly button to help with digestion, I'm not diluting it. I'm putting it in straight. If I'm using it in a castor oil pack to support my liver or to support like helping to shrink my fibroid that I have, I'm not diluting it. I'm putting it on straight. So it just depends on the situation as to whether I am diluting it. Most times I'm not. Because, you know, to really get the healing benefits from it, I'm not really diluting it unless it's mainly like a moisturizer. Other than that, I use it straight as is. And the other question that I've received a lot is staining. Honey, so many people have asked that. Well, what about your sheets? What about your bedding? What about your linen? I would never. I mean, y'all, there were people arguing in the comments on some of the videos, like arguing about it staining, it doesn't stain. Child, let me answer the question. Does castor oil stain? Any oil will stain. Yes. But there are things that I do to prevent staining in my sheets. I do not have staining issues on my bedding at all. And I use castor oil basically every day in one way, shape, or form. And one way that I get by preventing staining is I just move my nighttime routine up earlier in the day, so it has time to absorb a little bit into my skin before I'm getting into my bed and things like that. If I use it as an all-over moisturizer, like I mentioned earlier, so of course I'm going to put on some type of clothing, even if it's just my pajamas. I don't want it getting all over my pajamas, so I'll take a clean towel and just kind of pat just a little bit, just pat after I've applied it, just to get like a little off of my skin before I apply, you know, or put on my clothes. But those are just some steps that I take to help prevent staining. I haven't had any issues with it, and I've been using it, y'all, for a year, and my sheets are good. So yes, oil does stain, honey, absolutely. But there are definitely things you can do to prevent that from happening on your sheets, your bedding, and your clothes. So yes, you all, this is pretty much my 1 year update. I still use castor oil. I will always use castor oil in one way, shape, or form. Like I said, it is a staple in my house, and it will always be in my house. Castor oil just has so many benefits. It goes beyond the beauty stuff. It goes beyond diminishing stretch marks and wrinkles. And no, honey, like you can apply this to a wart to get rid of that. If you have for my ladies, if you have breast and the tissue is kind of hard and cystic almost, this is great to massage onto your breast. It helps with fibroids, it helps with digestion, it helps with supporting your liver, it helps with joint pain, muscle pain. Honey, castor oil has a whole slew of benefits, so I highly recommend it, and I definitely recommend this brand, The Goodbye Company, and I will have it pinned like I mentioned earlier. I hope you all have enjoyed this castor oil series on my channel. I certainly have enjoyed bringing these videos to you. I have enjoyed reading the testimonies in the comments. Oh my goodness, there are thousands, literally, I'm not exaggerating, literally thousands of comments from people who have shared their testimonies with castor oil, and I'm just blown away and just wowed. So I have definitely enjoyed reading your comments, your testimonies, your suggestions on how to use it, and so many other people have benefited from your comments. So thank you so much for those people who have left their testimonies and things like that. It is very helpful. So yeah, you guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Leave me a like down below, talk to me down below, and I will catch you in another video. Bye.